Hello, everybody. Welcome to the stream. I hope a bunch of people are here now. I know Psych is at least. So, hey, Psych, how's it going? Let's ping across and get the current task text back up again. So, we're no longer doing things like fixing the physics that I was working on. I'll probably still work on that and doing interesting things with physics, but it's just not great for streaming if I spend ages figuring out a bug. And I'd like to show people things that are also, stuff you could do yourselves that are a bit shorter and easier to get done. So we're going to do template toys, and there was a list of things. Template toy. So we're going to make the if I could spell template right. Template. So we're going to do a teleporter template toy first. And that's a nice one to start off with because we have some scripts already that support that. And then we'll go on and do a few more. So the ones that were suggested yesterday, if I scroll up, were and find where my text is. As a dance floor, the teleporter, a gravity volume, and Scooter D. No, SBTV wanted tilty platforms, so kind of like Mario-esque or Fall Guys-esque platforms, so that when you're stood on them, it'll tilt one way or the other based on where people are stood and all of that sort of thing. That last one will be an interesting one to do because it'll have to obviously account for everybody that stood on it, not just the one player. But we'll start off with one player and we'll work from there. But yeah, we're going to start off with the teleporter though. I'm going to do a new game to build all these things in. Just a new regular game. And we'll save it as template toys streaming. And yeah, I'll link this game in chat as well so that you have it available. And when I find out where I hid the chat, it's here. Hello, Chris. I think the one thing I noticed about YouTube is definitely that the hey, Alex Dev, how's it going? One thing I noticed about YouTube is that people's names are very much less cool and less gamery than on Twitch. It's quite a funny one. Yeah, so we're gonna we have the templates tab here, and all of these things in there are the template toys. So we're gonna build some of these, and the first thing we're gonna do, build a teleporter. So like I do for many things, I'm gonna start off with a block just to represent the teleporter itself. If I find it, give me a block. We have some. I really wish I could search with more details because I want to use the one that I had or Voxelius. Okay, there's, how big are these blocks? Pretty big. Maybe it's a cube. Let's search for cube instead. I'm fussy about my cubes. But I just want like something that isn't somebody else's thing, so we don't run into problems later. I had an orange cube. There was a white thing. There's definitely a white one. I just want a single block thing. This is annoyingly, here we go. White cube from Bobby D. So this is going to be our Our starting thing to teleport and make a teleporter out of. And what I thought would be fun. Twitch chat is way slower. Yeah, I actually think YouTube has a load of things going for it in terms of like the streaming experience. You can stream at higher bit rates, can do high quality audio, although my audio quality is not that high just now. And yeah, I think the chat's a bit cooler, and I like the fact that you can, like, we're doing like short streams. We're not like gamer streaming in terms of like doing, 6-hour marathons every day. So I think being able to schedule things and people being able to like, subscribe to those and get the alerts and all of that sort of thing will really, really help. So I'm going to add a script, and the script I'm going to add is dbb teleport on contact. We actually have an office hours version of that already, so let's add that because I own it. I think I own it because I copied it. And we'll just open up the other one as well just to see what the differences are. Teleport on contact from Charlie. And as best as I can see, it just finds a transform and passes that through into the teleport. I guess this teleport on contact. No. It's got the notify camera. It's got an on-teleported event. This has an on-teleported event. Let's start. Ooh, I can notice something change there. It's just some ordering. Basically. And it's just passing through the target's world transform. It's not making a new transform. So that's interesting. And it also spawns some FX as well when you step onto the teleporter, which is quite cool. And we could make that so that the teleport effects gets played for everybody. So when the person teleports, everybody sees those effects. I think that would be a good idea. I'm going to just have to swing this round. Thanks, S. Blackwell. Make the hand repulsor. Make a hand repulsor. You want to repulse people's hands? You're going to have to tell me a bit more what a hand repulsor is. But we can definitely do that. We'll use this office hours script anyway, because it seems to be the latest one. And the other thing we're going to need is like some place to teleport to. And that's kind of like why I use one of these cubes as well, because we can just drag a cube over here. And in this case, we can remove the script. And this is we can call this teleport destination. Teleport destination. I think I know what I did. I made it so you could go through the teleporter without it ping-ponging. And so we're just going to select the teleport destination right now and test it out. So we switched really quickly there. Bong. There's a slight thing in the camera, so probably this notify camera thing is important in some respect. That's interesting. I think it put us going out in the right direction. There's like a 1-frame delay in that, which we'll maybe fix at some point. But there's the teleporter actually working already. So we need to do a couple of things. We need to make it look cool. And we need, let's see what happens if we go through this way. So that's all. So this just, changes the direction you come out at. So if you run into the teleporter like this right now, it won't come out in the direction that this is facing, which is hard to describe because it's just a block on the ground. So maybe we'll find a more directional thing. Maybe should we change it to that? Maybe. Let's see if there's an arrow. I know there's the arrows from Thrust Heroes, which are here. Race arrows. So let's do that as our voxel object. So to do that, we're just going to open this up to change it in here. And I'm going to do just the ones that I own. And so we can see what direction that is facing in. I think, annoyingly, that doesn't face in the right direction. It's going sideways. It's not a thing. So we can use this poison arrow from Rusford Diggins. That looks more like it's facing in the right direction. So that just lets us see what direction that thing is facing in. And we'll make some effects in a second to make that better. Hand pulsar. We can make a melee weapon. It's a bit kind of crazy and a bit weird for multiplayer games, melee, and so it gets complicated. It's like a triangle cut in half, but the middle has beams like Iron Man, and I'm okay. RP285, nice to meet you. Yeah, we'll add some of these things onto the list. So like a melee weapon, it's definitely something we can do. And the hand repulsor sounds interesting if we have more info on like how it works and what it does. But yeah, so if we turn the notify camera thing back on again, then we get that jump. I think if we go out of this mode, then we won't get quite so big of a jump. It's an interesting one. But that, basically works. And you can see with the notify camera stuff on it, we come out facing in the right direction, basically. Even if it's not quite as smooth as I would like. The next thing we're going to do is make our teleporter look cooler. So right now it's a little square, and that isn't very cool. So we're going to add a particle system in, and I'm accessing this menu here by pressing F3, but we'll add in a better way of doing that. Basically, within the next few weeks, it already exists for us. Make YouTube cars. We could make YouTube cars. Hey, Eric. Awesome. Hey, Cyborg. Long time no see. I'm looking forward to seeing your tanks game get finished. Definitely sub. Hit the bell, as everybody says in this sort of thing. So we've got this fountain going, and I'm going to make it into a teleporter kind of ellipse, so that you kind of run into the portal on one side and you pop out of the portal on the other. So to do that, we're going to make it a sphere, and we need to give it some sort of like volume to it. So if we go 10 one way, and we want it to start on the surface of it, 10 the other way. And we can't really see the sphere here because it's very messy right now. So if we do give them no initial velocity, you can kind of see what's going on there. And then I can raise this up out of the ground. And you can kind of see it's like a fountain now. And I've managed to unselect it. So that wasn't very helpful, Charles. And we do want it to face the camera. And these are all good. We don't want gravity enabled. So now you can see we've got something that's a bit more like a teleport portal, although it's doing some kind of weird things there. Maybe if we make this 20, so now that's a bit better. Put it nearer the ground and kind of see, haha, it still works as a teleporter. You can see that it looks kind of cool, but it's kind of like still not quite doing what I would like with that, which is kind of appearing in the middle of this, which is interesting. And the initial velocity is 0. So if we give them some velocity, no. And maybe you want, like, they can go in all directions. So now they're kind of like all flying out. Maybe it's minus 180 and we want them to kind of go in is what I would like. Whoops. So you can kind of see it's got a bit more thickness to it now. And I wonder if I can find one of the existing particle effects to kind of learn from. Ah, this is the velocity spread, that's why. So the initial direction is 0. But maybe if I do this, that didn't really change much. We can put some drag on just to slow them down, but I don't think that's useful. Spawn rate, number of particles. Let's lower the number of particles. So it's a bit easier to see what's going on. So this is a sphere and everything's being formed on the edges. I swear we could get them to go in to the center. So we're spawning it on the sphere. And that is interesting. Maybe if we play, so if we go 0 here, what happens if I stretch it in here? So you can get some different effects by playing about with the transform as well. We can kind of see that that wasn't quite right. This has made the cube in the middle really huge. So let's just go back to 1 for both of these. Particle system, emitter size. If we go 10 by 10, what happens if we stretch this by 2? See, that's, you know, getting there. They're more on the outside than they were before. They're still just sort of like randomly moving about. That's too much velocity. You can kind of see if this goes up, it like loses coherence. Totally 1 was kind of a cool amount. Doing this just rotates what direction they're going in. This spins them around. Let's see. Oh yeah, and if you hear hammering in the background, that's because the builder's building my house right now. Building a roof, in fact, which is fun. So yeah, we kind of have that going on, and that's, I think, doing the wrong thing now in terms of velocity spread. But you can run in and you can run out. And so what we'll do is also add a thing on there to hide the voxel object when the game starts. I think we have something. We've got ESP hide at start, which is from Ashley, so maybe that does the right thing. And now that cube is invisible, but if we stop the game, we can see the cube again, and it's easy to grab it and move it. For the sake of simplicity, I'm going to just change the particle system. So this is scaled by 2. If we put 10 on here, then it makes it more of a like a volume you can run into. But I want it to look like it has a direction to it. So that can be 0. And then it's flat sideways. And so what I want to do is put this particle effect. Well, I don't necessarily need to put it on the other end, unless I want it to do the same thing going back the way. So you could do that as well. So we could make this back into the white cube. Again, now that we've seen the thing. What was it? White. Was it a white cube? What was it called? What are you called? White cube, all one word. So we're keeping the kind of like idea the same. We're using the Bobby D version. And then the other thing I want to do on here is just make this. So right now it's colliding with the voxels. We're just going to make it collide with I guess a sphere would be good for this. It's very small right now. So we'll make it bigger. So that is pretty much always going to hit the player if they run into it. So they will go there. What's going on in chat? I wish I had a real life teleporter. Yes, John, I wish I had a real life teleporter too. Cave in the hub with the portal to that spot. Cave, I think at the edge of the map. Hot Springs, portal thing. That is a good question. There's the portals that are in the hub, and I think Voxelius has managed to get them to go inwards towards each other. I'm going to have to ask him how he did that. Response type is static because we're not moving these things around. Although right now this is actually going to make things kind of complicated there. So maybe we actually want this to be a box. 10 and 20. So it's a bit, has some volume to it. And so on. Quickly save this. And then I'm going to delete this guy over here because I want to copy paste the one that we already have. I'm going to select this and I need to zoom in and try and find the orange box for it. Create copy. And this is going to be our teleporter 2. This is going to be our teleporter 1. And for this one, we can swing it around this way. If we press play, then we'll get particles for both, maybe. Yeah. So you can see we have a teleporter that's facing this way, I think, and this teleporter is facing this way. And then we can set up their targets. So teleporter 2 from teleporter 1 and teleporter 1 from teleporter 2. And save the game again just to make sure that we're keeping that there. Then we can play the game and just switch out of the editor quickly. And we can see the teleporter there. I mean, I might bump up the particle numbers again so that it looks more obvious. And if we run into this one, we'll get stuck in the other side of this. Okay, so that's easy to fix. I made the one mistake. So these both have collision on, but it needs to be a trigger so you're not inside of it and colliding with it directly. The DMG part of the DMG script collection is just the prefix we put on the FPS scripts. Essentially, Charlie just did that as like the default name for it because there's no namespacing or anything for script names right now, and you can only search for things by name. So we like call our scripts like DBB for things that are just like we've made for .big bang. Or like, you know, we'll have DBB underscore ETA for scripts we made for Escape the Aliens, and DMG is just the prefix that Charlie picked for the FPS game when he first made it. Yeah, and you should definitely get creating. I cannot remember what your crazy name was, Blackwell, but you should definitely try creating. It's a fun thing to make stuff in. What have we done with the teleporter? We have teleporters now. And we can jump out of one, although it's dropping us into the air, and we can drop out of the other. It's still doing one annoying thing there, but it is teleporting us. Let's add some FX in because that's more fun. I'm just going to make sure the stream, my desktop audio is turned on so people can hear that. And then let's get going. Where did you go? Chat, there you go. So again, we're going to use the white cube as just a basis for this. What we want to make is a like one shot thing that plays when you run into the teleporter. So we're going to need to add, we're going to want to take off the collision. We're going to want to add in a particle system. We're going to want to add in a sound effect. And we're going to want the sound effect to be like a teleport sound if we have one. Just trying to think which one of these is good. One of the things we'll do is add a bit more of a ability to preview these things shortly. I kind of know what a lot of these sound like, so we should be able to use them. Let's try this one to start off with. This is from Straits of Danger. And if we add in a script, and we've got it called Play. It's made by Rob, I think. DD Rob. Maybe we'll find it that way. Play SFX. So this will just play the sound when the game starts. I hope. No, I've got the site muted, that's why. So that's the sound right now, so maybe that one isn't that great. Let's scroll all the way down. Item placed, pour, drink, sip, drink, fetching, birds, tummies, zombies. Quite a lot of sounds in here now. It's not really collecting item sound. And yeah, I guess I can see those for reasons. Low energy pickup spawn. What's the spawn sound like? That's for again from Straits of Danger. So that wasn't great in my opinion. If anybody knows a decent sound for this, just yell. Yep. See you later, Cyborg. Teleport. We've got a teleport sound. Let's use that. Wow, that was an interesting sound. What's the spawning sound? Like the player has a spawning sound on them. Where did the player go? There you are. It's probably going to be coming through from Teleport FX from Escape the Aliens. So that spawning sound is like horrific. Where did that come from? Turtle racing. Doom, 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 doom. Lots of hammering. Let's just try one of these. I want that zoop. Zoop. Which I think is like a different one from Straits of Danger. Some of these are quite loud though. Tell you what, the thing to do is do this not in content. So jump into the old game editor and look at the player. So the reason I'm doing this is because we can't look at the effects directly without adding the template into the game. So this is our old editor where we've made games previously. Essentially isn't as nice, but is pretty cool. And it was ETA teleport FX. So there you go, you can see it in the game, and I can just grab it, and it's player pickup. is the name of the thing. So that was easy. And I guess, well, I mean, like it's a bit of a cheat to use the same thing again, right? Let's find player pickup. Player pickup. So we get it twice now. So that's good. The next thing I'm going to do is make it use our spatialized audio. So I have to do that here. And that's just this space. What? Okay, yeah. Let's not do that because it's an admin script and I'm in the wrong editor apparently. We have some scripts that are just not accessible to regular users. And I'm trying to do this from the point of view of a regular user, so we'll just have the sound effect as it is right now, and I'll maybe add it later. But you can see if you look at this script that it'll essentially, this is the wrong, yeah, it'll try and find spatialized audio hack. This is even the wrong version of that. Play SFX. Okay, I even made one. Let's remove this one. No! Did I just delete the entire thing? Undo. Always remember you can undo. Remove script. Add script. Play SFX. So this does the same thing. It's just that this version of it will use the spatialized audio hack script. In fact, we'll add that on just to show you what that means. Essentially right now, the sound is being shot out of a sound cannon directly into your ears as if it was played right in front of your face. But the spatialized audio kind of like the game looks 3D and everything's like spaced out in 3 dimensions. So spatialized audio will take that into account. But to add that, I need to just drop down into a different version of this editor. And I did not save, but it didn't tell me about that. So I hope it's okay. Yeah, there we go. So we've got everything going. We have our fountain here. And we're going to add a script. Spatialized audio hack. And so when I stop and play the game now, you can't really hear the other audio because it's much quieter than our own spawning in sound. And so we'll be able to play with that in a minute when we start doing more stuff. So that's that there. We obviously want to make a better particle effect for it. So we're going to grab our particle system. This time we don't want it to loop. And what we could do is make this taller. And it's going to be a cube and it's going to be in the volume of the cube. And we want like 250 particles, but we'll play all 250 at once. We want the initial velocity pitch to be 0, I guess. Let's get in there, 0. Roll to be 0. The initial direction is fine like that. 180 spread. What happens then? They get shot into the air. It's not quite what I wanted. Boom. Initial direction, I guess, is the issue. Pitch of 90. What does that do? Get fired out sideways. Pitch of 180. Get fired down. So yaw of 180. What does that do? This is kind of like where go straight up again. Pitch and yaw of 180. Go straight down. This is confusing. That just goes everywhere. That just goes everywhere even more. That's sort of getting there. Really, we kind of want that same fountain thing, which is maybe 45, 45 on here. So that's cooler, but it's not firing them all out quick enough. So that does like a big burst in one go. That's pretty cool. And then what I want is maybe just 100 particles. And then I want to put drag on. And I probably need to up the amount of drag. And the initial velocity is too high. So that's like somebody runs into it and they get zapped. Basically. And so that's cool. We'll use that for now. We might come back in a minute and just fix it up a bit. And take this object renderer off. Or we could just use the same hide script. Hide at start. I have a hide at start as well. I wonder why this one was hidden before. So that's totally cool, although it didn't update in here. So maybe if we click back and forwards, we can look at the code. Okay, it does reach in and touch things. So that does too much hiding. So we do want the version that Ashley made. So then we can always see and grab hold of this thing and it will be hidden when it gets spawned into the game. So let's just save that right now. And then we're going to make this into a template so that we can add it to our script for teleporting. So we're going to make the template and it's going to be teleport FX. So now we can just spawn this, we can delete this out of the game. And for both our teleporters, we can grab it. And we can go into here. And for the teleport FX, we're going to set it as the teleport FX. And then we'll just make sure the targets are set correctly. Yeah, teleporter 1, teleporter 2. We'll save that. And get rid of this, get out of this. So now we're in, we really need more, some pre-warming of those particles, I think. So now we'll run through and you can see that we got our teleport FX. Probably would help if we came out facing a little bit more towards it so we could see those, but you can see that when we go through, it shows us exploding essentially on that end. So let's update like a couple of things about how this works, because right now it's just sticking us annoyingly in the air. So I wanted to make this teleporter look like a portal, and it does look like a portal. It's just that when I run through it, the actual position, if we stop the game, you can see it more clearly because of the square. Its actual position is here. And so it doesn't do quite what we want to do for that. So I'm gonna rename this extended, because we've changed some of the behavior already, and now we're going to extend it a little bit further to do new things. So we're going to do an offset. And that's going to be just a vector 3, so an offset in space, essentially. And so what we're going to do when we send our world transform through, we need to go back to the way the other one was set up. So if I open up the other teleport on contact, that Charlie made, can see that it makes this new transform out of the world transform, which is a bit wasteful, but now we actually need to change this position. We're going to have to do that ourselves. So we want to do the target target transform is a new transform, and a transform has a position, rotation, and scale. So we need to have a new position. So we want a new vector 3 that's going to start off by copying the entity's world transform position. So teleport position. And we're going to use the rotation and the scale of the entity. And so rather than passing that through, we're going to pass through the target transform. And I don't think we need to do anything else. But what we're actually going to do is pass through the teleport position. And so we have this commented out where it's adding the effects on both sides. Copy relative rotation, that is, if we're facing into the portal, we should face out of the next one. This works already as long as our portals are facing in the same direction. Otherwise, the illusion is broken. That's an interesting note. So let's just save this and make sure our stuff is still working. So we run in. Wow. That went wrong. But why did it go wrong? So we send the... Do we have the wrong... We have that on there. That one is going to the right thing. Teleport 2. Where's teleport 1 gone? There you are. This is going to teleport 1. So we teleport to the target transform. Did we put those in the right order? Rotation, scale. We're teleporting to our own position, not the target position. That's why. Classic mistake. So we'll save that. Play again. Play again. Anytime you feel like it. Oh, we broke something even bigger. We broke the engine. That's a nice one. The entity isn't part of the game. Okay, this is something that I believe has been fixed elsewhere. That is, yeah, related to a bug. So let's reload quickly. Yeah. So that, I don't think that note makes that much sense anymore, DMM, because you do kind of come out facing the right direction. Like if I run into this way, I'll still come out of this one that way. The one thing I do want to fix is like the player's like turn that they're doing. So we've got this going correctly. And then the main thing we want to do is to apply are offset to that position. So it's doing the same thing as it was doing before. We just now have this transform that we're making. So we need to stop and get our editor back up again. So we have our offset here in this vector 3, which is currently 0. And we've got our teleport position. And we've got our transform. So we want to get the transform of the target. So target.world transform. And I believe I can just get the matrix from it. And I can apply that to our thing, our vector. So we've got our matrix and we have this dot offset clone, make a new one. So we're not overwriting the old one. And then we want to apply the matrix that we've got from our transform to that world offset. So it's taking that offset and using the matrix of our target to set that offset in the world. So if we tilt our thing over, we'll move correctly in relation to it. So really we should call this local offset. And for example, we want to go down maybe 10, I guess, for hours. And we could raycast towards the ground as well. That's like another way of doing the similar thing. And save the game. So a matrix is basically a representation of all that transformation information kind of like squashed together. It's kind of long-winded and complicated to explain right now, but you can just think of it as like another way of representing that transform information. And the kind of like cool thing about it is that you can apply the matrix to a vector and it transforms what space it's in. So, this is the world and we're in world space. So there's a direction up is always the y-axis pointing upwards. But if we get something like this, go back into the editor and get something like this guy and rotate him sideways, you can kind of see he's always facing upwards because he's being forced to do that. But you can see on the tool, we have this box that's rotating from side to side. And that's basically defining a new direction that up will face in. And that's kind of like what these matrices represent, what transforms represent, is like different ways space could be arranged. It's kind of spooky in that sense. Okay, so we run through and we're getting teleported. It seems to be doing the right thing. We haven't actually made this change yet because we didn't apply our offset to the position. So now we can do teleport position, copy, add world offset. And this will either put us into the right position or very much the wrong position. So let's give that a go. So we went somewhere very strange there. Probably. So this one doesn't even work anymore. Or it does. But it works wonky. So we're getting the wrong position out here. So we probably want the inverse of that matrix. What? D. Dot target dot full transform dot get matrix. And I think we've got one too many things. Target world transform. What have we done? One expected 2 arguments, but got 1. Throw on degenerate. We don't want to throw on a degenerate. It's a complicated thing for inverting a matrix. So this is basically saying, are we going in the right direction for the change we're trying to do? And we want to run through and see what happens. Again, we didn't seem to have done that right. And something weird has gone on with how this behaves now as well. Because like I run through this and it doesn't teleport me straight away. So we need to exit the trigger before we will thingy it on teleported. Okay, yeah, we have a thing like the extension I made here is so that if you get teleported by the teleporter, you won't immediately get teleported straight back. But I've totally ruined this world transform thing. So like if I take this out and just basically remove this totally, because that did not fix things. So we've got the local offset, we've cloned it, and we're applying this matrix 4 to it, which should put it into the right place in the world for the target. But for whatever reason, that has not worked. So we need to figure out why. So we've just proved that it works. So it still works when we don't use our offset. So our offset is wrong. And what we'll do is we'll look at it in the debugger and work out why. So we've got to find our script, and they all live down in here. And we've got this teleport on contact extended. And we're calculating this world offset. So what we can do is go back into the editor so we can see what we're doing. Bump into this, and it stops our code on this line where we clicked on the number here, and that just lets us see what's going on. And this is a classic thing. Like you can see, I was actually debugging this stuff last week as well. So maybe I should look at the script I was fiddling with then. But this .local offset is X, Y, 10, Z, nothing. And you can see if I click on these things, it'll show them as well. And this .local offset, not local offset, teleport position. Whoops. Is a vector 3 as well, and that's this location that we're going to go to, which leaves us floating in the air. And our target transform is this with the teleport position. So if we press one more, so our local offset is still correct, our teleport position is still correct. Our world offset, our world offset is 24, 22. What's our teleport position? 24.733, 22.72579666975, Z 231. So it is doing the right thing. So the problem is something else. So we can see that our offset was to go down 10, and we have actually gone down by 10. The problem is that I'm adding the world offset on when what I actually want to do is just set it. So that's nice and easy to fix because we can just play and not run forever. So in our script, the thing that I was doing is I thought I was calculating the offset, but see, this is just the position that we want to use. So we don't need this teleport position and stuff anymore. In fact, we could call this teleport position. Then it will complain at us briefly, because we've got 2 of them. Then I can delete it, save it. We don't need to do this. And now our script should start working properly. Let's just save everything. Hey Mango, how's it going? We're just building a teleporter right now. Getting towards done with it, I think. So we run through. 10 is maybe not enough of an offset, but it's working now at least. And so this becomes like, you know, we've done the code side of it, and it's more about like working out the data side of things. So we can just go into the entities and say like we want to go down 30, 20, like if we go down too far, we'll put them into the ground, so that's not great. And then we can test it out in the editor by running into this. So that's going up. I'm going the wrong way. So that's not going to help immediately. Can select both of these at the same time and edit them together. Make them -20. And then we can run back into it again. And that seems to be going right. So there's only one more thing to do. And make this camera ignore, I think is the right tag. So you can see there that the player is just going through and is appearing on the ground as we want. And we're even getting the particles coming through. So if we run into this one, we'll run out of this one. If you run into this one, we'll run out of that one, although that seemed a bit wonky. So I think like the only thing that's a bit weird to me is there's like a 1 second. But if you're running forwards, it should have you going in the right direction. There's like a bit of a turn. You can like feel the player turn to face the right direction that the camera's pointing in, which is a bit frustrating. I'm just trying to think how to look at that easily. We kind of need to go in and edit the, is it the camera that's doing that? We can find the camera, go into the bird's eye view, that gives us our camera. And when we know there's a notify camera in here, there's a notify camera. On player teleported to the camera. So on player teleported, recenters the camera here. Movement. It's, yeah, DBB character. Movement. Is there an on teleported in here? Let's see, who does it send events to? Target. On teleported gets sent twice with different value. Oh, target gets sent on teleported with other. And other gets sent on teleported with the position. So the thing that crashed into us, yeah, is this. So on teleported gets sent to us. That's quite a confusing double usage of that. So maybe we want to do something in here because it doesn't seem to be lining us up properly because it needs to get the camera direction. Maybe we could do on teleport, do on respawn. Let's see if that helps. So some of the things we're going to build in the template toys are going to need to edit, like the way the character works a bit. I mean, there's still that. So it's that one frame of like. There's like one frame where it feels like it's like players twisting, kind of looping around. That's kind of annoying me. So let's look through how the character script works. I think it's because we're moving the camera. So if we look on the player, we have a bunch of setup on them. Character movement. What tick box is this? This is getting the camera yaw. And we're just doing that to get it from there. Got a minimum speed. Our target movement velocity is this. So our movement velocity, if our steering strength does not equal 0, so what does our steering strength equal in here? It's 10. It'd be cool to see the particles on the, yeah, I think doing the particles on the other end is a great idea as well. And I'll also, I think, network them so you can see them on 2 clients and we can have 2 people running in and out of teleporters. In just a second, I just want to fix this annoying blip, essentially. So you can see if the steering strength doesn't equal 0 and the movement velocity doesn't equal the target movement velocity, that we're going to do some interpolation to make them equal one another. And it's this that is probably causing us issues. So we're only doing the first branch of this, not any of the others. So when we teleport, we want to do this dot movement velocity set to 0. Well, in fact, we want to do all of this and this dot target movement velocity 0, 0, 0 as well, maybe. Let's just try that. No, it's still there. Ah, it's that little loop it does. You can sort of see it when we come through. We're not like facing. Again, if you're just joining us, apologizing for the hammering. We've got builders hitting things upstairs. So that didn't fix it, which is interesting to me. Which makes me suspect that there's like at least one other thing wrong there. So, thinking about it logically, going to tell the other thing to teleport to the target transform. That's going to set that rotation. It's going to set that scale. And we are going to run through. Kind of hard to make him run around when. See, what I would love to be able to do is move the player in this view and watch them. Which is tough. So we edge in. You can see that they came out facing that way. And then they get moved round. Interesting. So maybe it's just the order things are happening in. On teleport position dot clone. Why? Yeah. What is going on there? So our target movement velocity, which is the thing we're worried about, basically gets in here. Controls direction. We get the camera's Euler value out. We apply that to the movement target movement direction. We'll log some things out. We teleported in the movement script. And then we teleported here. Teleported in the camera script. In fact, it recenters the camera. Here it says, and this just changes our rotation in this.yaw. So that is one thing. So it's not actually updating the camera until... Okay, so that's what's going wrong. So that's at least understandable. So this can be why it's handy just to go back and relook at things again. So let's get rid of this, and then we'll explain what's going on. So what happens is, this is the right thing to do. We're zeroing everything out. And this runs in tick, so this will be evaluated basically straight away. And when we get our camera yaw out, and if we just go to that definition, it's grabbing the game camera entity world transform rotation .y out of there. And that just means that we are kind of like grabbing the instantaneous facing direction of the camera for the direction our player is going to be facing in, or the target direction our player is going to be facing in. But in here, when we do the teleported thing, like response, we're setting an internal yaw value to be essentially behind the player, which is like the player's rotation in y minus 180. So the problem there is that our actual camera's rotation isn't being set until the next time it's run, and this runs in post-collision tick, so it always runs after the player has moved. It's based on where the player is or where the target entity is. And so because of that, the player's rotation, the camera's rotation, sorry, is always wrong. So the player's rotation is always wrong when you teleport, and everything goes to hell. So we just need to change the way that response happens, I think. And the most obvious one is setting this entity world transform rotation .y equals this.yaw. That might work. We'll give it a go. So basically, when it comes through, when the player runs through, the camera and the player are told that they've gone through the teleporter and show you should face in a new direction. But the way we told the camera doesn't update its value immediately that the player script looks at. So it starts trying to run off in a totally different direction, facing in the direction that we used to be facing in, basically, as opposed to our new direction. So what I've done there is set that position, set that rotation explicitly myself, so we should get the right answer. But we need to try that out. And although now the camera is just not doing anything, so let's stop the game and start it again. And run about. So we run through, and that, yeah, so now our teleport's working correctly. You can see it doesn't have that. Oh, no, it came back. Oh, no. Why did you come back? That was annoying. So we did fix it briefly, and then it broke. Or there's just something else going on there. So this wasn't enough to fix it. Probably because this comes out. Where did we find this get camera URL? So we do just get the rotation.y. So it's something about the order of updating all of these things that goes wrong. And so we move that. And then we're calculating a new position. Yeah, so your can be correct. That should still work. I'm kind of annoyed that that didn't work. Let's just see that on player teleported is actually being called. Player teleported recentering the camera is being called. Let's save this so we don't lose where we're up to. Whilst my brain thinks about it, let's jump back and make the particles appear on either side, since that's a nice straightforward thing to do. So right now we're adding an entity. Wow, we're doing something very strange there. Both of these are doing entirely the wrong thing. So that's not, yep, this is not crazy. Teleport fx.get. I'm not sure why this is happening. So we're networking it. So it will be networked. We're not going to change its position. We want to do it there. We want to do it there. And that's what we want to do. So this is, we should copy the relative rotation. That is, if we're facing into the pole, we should face out the next one. We are actually doing that. So that comment doesn't make sense. So this will create an effect on both sides now. One thing that might be cool is to make that particle effect directional as well, so it kind of like fires out of the thing. So I don't think we want to spawn it. I don't think we want to do it quite like this. We want to spawn it one at the target transform. And before we do this, because we're kind of like spawning the effect in the wrong place, essentially. We want the old position. We don't. Not target transformed. Teleport position. pleasingly, they're the same length. So now when we run through, that effect plays at our feet. So I'm going to try one thing. So we know in our script, the character movements, that we were looking at the interpolation, so the steering strength. So if we have steering strength as 0 and acceleration as 0, it'll just copy straight away that target movement velocity. And we can do that nice and easily by selecting our player. Where did my entity panel go? Character movement, steering strength 0, acceleration 0. So now if we run into the game, we are like locked to the camera. So you can see that works. That doesn't do the... I'm having too much fun. That doesn't do the interpolation. So it is that interpolation that's causing the problem. So that's the bit we need to concentrate on. In here, it's 510, so undoing just gets us back. So let's look at this a bit more. So if this movement velocity does not equal the target movement velocity, then we do the interpolation. Okay, so setting the movement velocity to 0 was a bad idea, because that's not solving this problem, essentially. We kind of almost want to work out what the movement velocity and the target movement velocity should be to do this instantaneous change, which is kind of wonky. So we almost want to do like all of this code where we're getting the control direction, getting the camera yaw, getting this all the way out in its own function so that we can call it again and update our target movement direction based on what controls we're pressing and the new position of the camera. So that is quite a lot of change to do in one go for this. So I'm just trying to think my way through doing this a simpler way. Probably the simpler way of doing it is to... I want to delete all of this code that we never really use because we're just using the steering strength. Let's have a flag that says we've teleported. Could be the easiest thing to do. So on teleported, we're not going to zero all of these things out. Going to do this dot has teleported equals true, and we need to make a thing for that. So this is what I would call a bit of a hack, so that we don't have to calculate the right thing in this function. We can let it run through to the next tick and then do the right thing. So not massively happy with it as a solution, but I think it's safer than what we've been doing before. We can do if has teleported. If I remember that I just made it. Then we can do the copy and get rid of the flag. And we will ignore the acceleration case because it actually never gets used at all. And then these will definitely equal each other, so we won't run that set of code. So let's save that and see if that fixes it. Interesting. Yeah. So did that did the theory make sense, DMM? Right. Did it fix it though? No. Super frustrating. So maybe there's a couple of frames where that happens or something like that. Okay. Just make sure that code is even running at all. It is not. Okay, so I just did something stupid in there. Can you work out what I did wrong? On teleport. Oh, this is going to be on teleported. I wonder if like I had fixed it much earlier on, but was just calling the wrong thing. There we go. 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 Okay, so we fixed it now. One of the other things we could fix is like if you run through it sideways, you run out of it facing forwards. So you kind of like come out in the direction that you were pressing the button, which is not ideal. I think we could even, well, no, maybe we need both sides of this as well. In here. Just going to comment this line out and see if we actually need it now. Interesting how doing that breaks the game. We don't. So it's purely the interpolation side of things that was broken. So we can get rid of this again, so we're not complicating this script up more. And that's good. Teleporter basically done. Yeah, you followed it. Good. Excellent. Like, I don't know if it's just me being picky, but it feels like there's a single, wow, something, is that just the game breaking? Yeah, so something broke, which is kind of annoying. And the other thing we could add in here, because you can see that there's like a bit of time spent. There's like a single frame flick as well. Although the more I look at the horizon, Let's we can slow down the frame rate. Okay, we definitely don't notice like a single frame. Yeah, I think it's just my eyes. Plus, whoops, too many pluses. No, not enough pluses. So yeah, like just changing the frame rate. I think it's just my eyes. Notice that flash too much. I always break DBB. It's why my name is breaking DBB. And I actually want this like zoomed in 125 so people can see what's going on. Cool. Teleporter done. How did I do the Star Trek teleporter visual effect? So the way this thing is set up, if I get in, I'm getting into the wrong mode now. If I stop the game running, you can grab hold of the teleporters. Basically, there's a teleport FX here, and that's a template that gets spawned. So if I start the game and I go out of the bird's eye view and I run into this, whoops, paused it a little bit early, and I pause the game, can kind of see that the effects are being spawned by my toes there. And I can bring up the entities here and they don't show up. What? Oh, maybe there's this white cube. Yeah, so there's this white cube here. And that's kind of like what we're creating. So I just rename them teleport FX. So I left the white cube on there so you could find it and click it. But we hide it and then we play the sound effects and we have this particle system attached there. I think the main thing for this is it's spawning at the player's feet right now, which is a bit wrong. It should be spawned higher up. But that's cool for just what we're doing right now. Like I could make it taller and that would help probably. And no, I wanted to update template from entity. Did I make it taller? No, I did not. Yeah, and so it's basically just firing some particles off in this FX template and playing a sound. And what I actually want to do as well in here is destroy the template after a little bit of time has gone by. So you have like a destroy after delay script. And like in this case, maybe like 0.8 seconds is the right amount of time. And then we can save that. Well, let's not save that. I want to update the template and save that. Then we can stop the game and start the game again. So you can see there's like that similar spawning going there. So now when we walk through, we break the game again. What is going on? Okay, let's stop that. What happened? The entity isn't part of the game. Okay, so we're destroying the entity too early and there's a bug. So let's just make sure that's like a long time. Where? Okay. We don't have the entity in the game anymore. And we can't play the game again. Let's just save this so we didn't lose it. We broke everything, Alex, again. Yeah. Is that going to work? Anytime you're ready. So we want to go through this, pause the game. This is sadly probably going to break it again. Teleport FX. Make this long. So right now, if you destroy, we made some engine changes. So if you try and send the callback at the wrong time, it breaks everything, and that's what the sound does right now. And it's been fixed again in changes that are not yet out. So that's what we're running into here. And we want to F3 on this. Give me your thing. Update template from entity, save, stop, play, edit the game. That's better. So, a couple more tidy up things. And I want to show you also, like if I put this into template toys right now, you'd be able to go in and edit what the particle system looked like. So you could make it have 300 particles or 1,000 particles. And I probably should have just grabbed both of them. And that just makes them a bit like busier, a bit more like here's the particle system sort of thing. You can change the color of things. You can change the opacity at the start and the end. You can change their size. You can fiddle about with all sorts of cool stuff relating to these things. So we can save that. What I'll do is just do a couple more tweaks probably before I put these live. But we've made them. So it's there now. So that's pretty cool. It works in the basic case, definitely. We can run through it. Super fun. Okay. Wow. That took longer than I thought it would. Mostly due to fixing those bugs and somebody hammering right outside my house. So, stop the game. Teleporters, check. What were the other things that I said? Let's pop back over to Discord and ask. In my list. Okay. The teleporter is part of template toys. They are now, Lambda. So we didn't really have time to do the tilty platform. Dance floor does involve going to the old editor so we can set animations for it. But would be quite nice and easy to do. Gravity nodes. That could be fun. There's one more, but for whatever reason, I cannot see my own post where I wrote them down. Dance floor, tilty platform. Teleporters, gravity volumes, dance floor, tilty platforms. Let's do a gravity volume because I think that will be kind of cool. And also kind of like does something that we like haven't really done before. And lets us play with particles again, really. Which would be nice. So this sort of works in a similar way to what we did before. We'll find a cube because we want to have something that represents this volume. I wonder if we have like a magenta colored cube. Go all the way over this way. Here's like a... there's loads of cubes, so I think these people are just remixing the cubes that we already made. Grey boxing, air cube. Green cube. It's another enormous green cube. It's another enormous cube. Mine. red cube. Let's use the red cube. Yeah, so I'm going to make this a trigger and a box. And I'm just going to scale it up to be 100 cubed, which is quite big. And I'll move it out of the way of the teleporters. And yeah, so we're going to use this cube. But what I'm going to do to represent it in the game whilst I'm debugging it and trying to work out what's going on is just make it opaque. So like 0.3. So if we save, like we call this gravity volume, we can save the game. And then when we run the game, we can run into this now. And it sort of works. It needs to be made camera ignore as well. So now we can run into it with the camera. Got some funky fringe moire things going on the bottom of it. So what we don't want it to do is to be visible in the depth pass and cast shadows, because it's literally just a like volume in the world. Bring chat back up again, so just in case people are saying gravity volume. Use the white one with the magenta emissive. That is such a ninja thing to suggest. It's a really good idea. That is exactly what I should have done. And so we'll just add, we need to make a new script, in fact. We'll call it BBB gravity volume. And we'll save it. And basically we're going to use on trigger enter and on trigger exit. And that gives us an entity that went into the thing. And all we're going to say is if other.isOwn locally, so if we're on the local person, we'll do something. Or in fact, we'll say if not other isOwn locally, we'll return out. If we're not the owner of the thing that came into the volume, we'll run away. Otherwise, we're going to do other send event, change gravity. And we need to have a number. So we need to do that up here. Gravity to set. In fact, that's an interesting one. We want this is just going to send events to change the gravity. So gravity value could be 100 or maybe even minus 100. No, 100. Change gravity to 100. And when you leave, we're going to have reset gravity. So basically, the entity, the other side of things, needs to be in charge of how it responds to gravity changing, because there isn't a physics engine right now. Like if we had a physics engine that worked across everything, I would still implement this way, this way, but it would go in and like pass through to the physics engine on the other side, because then you could do what you wanted to do and still use gravity volumes. But in this case, we're going to have to go back into the character movement script, because this is where gravity gets applied. And you can see here, like gravity acceleration is 250. So we're going to we'll make it you fall slower, essentially. So our two functions were change gravity and reset gravity, I think. Yes. And this is going to be amount as a number, and this one will be whatever. So we need to be able to store off like our old gravity. And that's going to be this dot gravity acceleration. And in fact, when we start, we'll do this dot old gravity. Just make sure that we're getting it at the right spot. So that's valid TypeScript, but these things might not have their saved serialized values at the point that's called. So we've got the old gravity here. And essentially, when we reset, gravity acceleration is equal to this old gravity. And when we change the gravity, it's equal to amount. And that's all we need to change in the character movement script. So if we save this, and then we run in, we now jump higher like we're on the moon. And as soon as we go back out again, we're jumping normally. And we can jump in, jump, and we'll fall faster as soon as we get out of that volume. And in fact, we can grab the volume now, and we have our gravity volume there. If we make it minus 100, then we can run in and stand inside. And we're on the ground. That didn't work. Why didn't you work? Minus 1,000. What happens if we do minus 1,000? Maybe this isn't allowed to go negative. Maybe it's just not doing the right thing. Let's see if stopping and starting again. How is it? Something always goes wrong. So we're in, definitely getting that 100 value through. View code. It's because I'm not passing the right value through. That's why. So it's minus 1,000 now. This could get dangerous. And this kind of like shows you the power of like being able to clip these things together like we are. So there you go. Now we get fired into the air. We go back to our ordinary gravity. And now we're just bouncing in a gravity volume. And all it's doing is setting the gravity value to minus 1,000 when we go in here, and it's getting set back to the default when we exit it again. And so we're just getting like bounced up and down. And it's sort of physicsy. And we can copy this and get into the bird's eye view so we can copy it again. So we could put this on top and just like have a bit of a gap. And we could make this minus, I don't know, minus 500. And go back in again. And so we'll jump. And we go slightly less speedily. And we won't actually fall all the way through it because I think our falling speed is 500. So if we set our falling speed, make this minus 100, then we might go back into the other one. That's quite amusing. It's like stuck here. And so we'll fall back through. And it sort of like nudges up and down because it's only just getting enough like upwards momentum going. That's an interesting one actually. That feels like a bug. Oh, because it's falling out. It's resetting it. Be interesting to know. Interesting to know what the order of things happening there is. So we'll log that out and find out. Because to me, that should be blowing up all the way through again as soon as it comes back into this volume. Classic testing. Is it possible to make the avatar walk on the cube surfaces as if it is a cubic planet? Yes. Yes, it is. We could definitely do that for one of these if that's what we wanted to do. So we're in that weird state. It's failing to load resources. Reset, change, reset, change, reset, change. Is it poking out the top here? Now, I feel very much like we're in the inside of this. So go in there. Change, change. And then we get 2 resets. Change, change. 2 resets. Change, change, reset, change, reset. Oh, it's getting the reset from leaving this. That's interesting. There's definitely some bugs in our trigger. Oh, okay. So you can see what the problem is here. Like, look at the collision volume. If I click on this one, this collision volume isn't lined up correctly, even mildly. So let's make this voxel object collision, and let's make this voxel object collision. That'll help things because they're overlapping, and so nothing will work if these things are overlapping with one another just yet, at least. So now we'll go up through them all, and we'll go down into them, and we'll go back onto the ground. And because we're on the ground, no gravity is applied straight away. So we need to fix that. And we can jump in here. Like it's reset again. Change to 1000. Donk. Reset. So something, yeah, there's definitely some fun collision bugs this is exposing just now. Like if we run in just normally, then we do get pulled up into the air. It's just deciding we're no longer colliding with it. So we could go back to the box collider. That's not a crazy thing to do. It's just not in the right place. How about 1? There we go. Can make this a box collider. It just needs to be offset 1. That might work better. So we go up. Perfect. 2 resets. Change -100. Change 1000. Reset. Ah. So we get change -100. Change -1000. Reset. And then we get the second reset. So we're actually getting the entry before we get the exit, which is an interesting one. So we go up in the air. Change 1000, and then we get the reset afterwards. So we'd need a way to make these work together cooperatively to fix that, which is kind of an interesting one. How can we do that? It should be relatively easy. If we get these and we give them the gravity volume tag, and in our gravity volume script, we do this .game.send event to tag gravity volume, and we send on gravity volume entered, and we send the entity through. Then we can have a private in other volume as well is false. Dee. Oh, we need to count them. Is naught. So, and then we send the same thing here when we exit one. Whoops. I want all of this, please. On gravity volume exited. And then we can implement these two. And just copy paste that for the next one. So what we're going to do is we're going to count the volumes that are not us, essentially. So we're going to start off with 0. And then we're going to be if volume equals this dot entity return. Same on this side. And then we can do this dot in num other volumes plus equals 1. And on this side we do in other volumes minus equals 1. And then we only call reset if it's greater than 0. We go no please. We don't want to reset. And so we can change the gravity, and then we won't reset the gravity until we're not in other volumes. So changing's fine. We want to change every time we every time we enter a new volume. So if you overlap them, that's your choice, really. Okay, Psych, you are asking more questions. And put these planets above the world surface. Use the teleport spots to teleport from planet to planet. Yeah, negative volume lifts you up in the volumes. And yes, you could put the teleport spots on the planets. The main thing for the planets is that you just need to have like a different understanding of what gravity means. So you need the player to fall towards the center of your planet, and you need to decide which planet is the close by one, and all of these sorts of things. So you could totally create a Dot Big Bang like Super Mario Galaxy style game. That's absolutely possible. It's just more involved than having gravity that goes straight down. Not much more involved, but it is slightly more involved, and we need to rework the way the camera works as well to make that work really nicely, because you kind of your player and the camera are no longer like facing around the world up anymore. They're facing around kind of like the local gravity up. So it just makes some of these calculations a little bit more complicated, because you need to factor that in. So it's not something that's impossible to do, and we can definitely do a stream doing that, because I think it would be fun. But yeah, not for this stream. And we could also do, like, when we release the terrain, we can make circular volumes, planet shapes in that really easily. So that's probably the place to start, like, playing about with that sort of thing. It'd be kind of fun. Let's test this out, and let's get this up. Perhaps we should also, before we do that, just log out how many volumes we're in, and here do the same. So we only have 2 things, so enter. That's probably going to be confusing, actually, but let's see. So go enter 1, exit 0, enter 1, exit 0. Okay, so we fixed that bug. So it gets reset when you fly back out again. It changes otherwise. And it should... Cool. So that's fun. But Super Mario Galaxy style like physics is fun to make. It's just something that would take a little while to actually do. So we did gravity volumes as well. Let's clear out my code in here. Console logs in here. And save it. And do people want to come in and mess around for like the last 5 minutes? Whoops. Let's not search Google. I want the name of my game back. Let's do that. Okay. Save you and make a multiplayer link that is in the original one. And I'll post this into the chat. Come and bounce around with me in here and use the teleporters and stuff, because it will be fun. Anybody not caught up with where I'm at yet? I'm just going to bounce up and down until I see people come in. Oh yeah, the current task has changed. Yeah, very good point. We're at the end though, so it's kind of too late. Click and join. Click and join. Come on, DMM. You know you want to get in here, mess about with gravity. So we'll carry on doing this sort of stuff, like smaller things to make. I'm collecting smaller things to make in Discord. So if you join our Discord, then you can tell me what to make. I think most people that are here right now are in Discord already. So that's cool. And you can play this. DMM, yay! Run through the teleporter. The teleporter worked. So all of this stuff we made is obviously, you know, straight away multiplayer, although there he is. There's Chris. We can go do that and fling ourselves. Wow. Something went wrong there. I found another bug right at the last second. I've just gone off into orbit. Probably this has got stuck. Where's gravity? Is stuck at -1000, so it didn't see the... Everybody's in. Hey, SBTV. Welcome to my gravity world. So one of the downsides is you can clearly get out and somehow. And not exit the trigger volume. So this is like, this sort of thing is like a really good test of your collision system and how well that's working, which I think is one of the things that we're seeing just now. Go down, go down. How did I get out? Not like that, apparently. So it's definitely a finicky bug to try and reproduce, but such is life. Clipping the volume sent you flying. Yeah, so you can get, like, this is an interesting one because you can get into it, but it doesn't register the non-collision part of it. So that's an interesting, like, I can't get it to happen again. You can sort of like hover yourself as well Here we go, up into the sky. And if I go into the bird's eye cam and grab this, I can also move the teleporter. So it goes up here. Ding, 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 ding. Gee, we could maybe just drag it. Whoops, I broke something. Or somebody. Oh well. That was awesome. I need to go now. So enjoy the rest of your day. And I'll see everybody next week for more of this. And if you're in Discord for the office hours on Friday, thank you very much for taking part. And yeah, it was really cool.